Hey guys, my fellow collectors, welcome back to the channel. So on today's topic is how I got into collecting hot toys. But before that, make sure you give me a big thumbs up, like the video, comment below what do you think about the hobby in general, and yeah, let's get into it. So again, a big thanks to you guys. I'm close to 2,000 subscribers. My channel is starting to blow up, slowly but surely. That's mainly because I started to post more and more shorts, so make sure to check that out. I'm posting between 3 and 4 shorts a day. I'm also gonna increase the amount of videos per week. Usually I post between 1 and 2, so I'm gonna increase that between 3 and 4 to create more content for you guys. So again, I appreciate that. A big thank you to you guys. So yeah, let's get back to the video. Okay, so the big question is how I got into hot toys. Well, before that, let me just take you way back before I started collecting hot toys. As I said in previous videos, I started in 2009, but let's go back, way back when I was a lot younger. So obviously, it all started with collecting smaller action figures like NECA here. I started with McFarlane. My first action figure of McFarlane was the Jungle Hunter Predator from the first Predator movie with Arnold that came in '87. But before that, basically what got me into collecting action figures, pretty much my passion for movies. I remember watching these great movies back in the day, especially here for an example, Aliens by James Cameron. I remember when I watched that movie with my grandfather, back in the 2000s, and I always said to myself, man, would have been cool to see a character from that movie, brought in, a small action figure that you can actually, articulate, move around, having that like 3D item that comes from the movie, as a visual form. To me, it's very appealing. It's also very artistic. It's a different art form, I guess, than having a painting. You can have the figure in front of you, you can rotate it, change the position. That's why I like action figures more than statues. I'm gonna get into that into a different video, which is pretty much Hot Toys versus Primark Studios. And the reason why I say Primark Studios is because I got my first Primark Studio statue 2 weeks ago. I made the review, so make sure to check that out. Again, this thing is huge, as you can see next to the details. Those are 1/2 scale Leatherface figures, and as you can see, this thing is like 31 inches tall to the top of the gun. So yeah, so again, started with the collecting action figures because I have a huge love for movies, mainly horror movies, action movies, some DC, Marvel and whatnot. So yeah, back in 2004, I remember we just arrived in Canada here with my parents. I was about 10 or 11, and I went to this, video club store, I guess, where you can rent or buy movies. I remember every time we used to go there, mostly Friday nights. The smell of popcorn as you entered the store, it was very, very awesome, very nostalgic. And I remember back in the days, those type of stores like mom and pops, they usually have action figures, next to the movies. They usually have this big metal rack with action figures on there. And I saw this like Predator figure, and obviously I knew all about the Predator. I've seen the first 2 movies back then in IVP, so I was blown away. Like, it was before Christmas, and I remember back then it was about 15 or 20 bucks here in Canada, which is nothing obviously in comparison to the prices of these, which are about 50 bucks up a pop. But yeah, so I saw this figure, and I said to my dad, man, can I please have this for Christmas? Obviously back then I was grown and I was old enough to believe that Santa doesn't exist, but so I asked him. He said yeah, good idea. So he bought it. My mom actually wrapped that figure up, for Christmas, and I actually would keep that figure under my bed, even though I knew what I was getting for Christmas. I was very excited. Obviously, Christmas Day, I believe it was on a Sunday back then, 2004. I opened the figure up. I was blown away. Obviously, I did something stupid and obviously broke his wrist blades, which I was very upset. So all this to say, that's how I pretty much started collecting action figures. So that was with McFarlane. I had the big chap that they had back in the day. I remember he had the cool base with the facehugger, There was an egg on the base, which was very fantastic. I'm gonna put some pictures above. Actually, I might get those figures back. I found the store here next to me that sells that particular Predator. It was the one with the mask, so I might buy that just for nostalgic reason and just put it up there, you know, as a a standalone piece, just to remind you where the collection started. So I pretty much started my collection with the McFarlane toys. Then it moved to NECA because some of the guys from McFarlane actually went and opened their company, which was called NECA back in the days, and it still is. They are doing fantastic, as you can see, creating all those awesome figures. And again, this is my newest acquisition from NECA. This is Jaws the game. So this is like a smaller version of Bruce the Shark, which you can put some accessories inside the mouth. This is not in the same scale as their other figures, which is pretty much 1/10 scale. This is that's pretty much 1/20th, because I believe the shark is like 16 inches long. So it's not quite in the same scale as other NECA figures. But you know, I said, what the hell, I'm still bought that. Hopefully one day they're gonna do like a proper ultimate scale action figure of Jaws. But yeah, in the meantime, that will suffice. Plus this year was like the 50th anniversary of Jaws, so I was really blown away by this. Also got Quint and Hopper. Too bad that they don't have the license for Sherry Brody. I believe there's some issues with the family. You know, they don't want to give the license away, which is quite stupid. So yeah, anyways, so yeah, I started with McFarlane, then NECA, but then I was also a big Transformers guy. Hence I have these from 3.0. I remember I started with Transformers Energon, then Cybertron. I had pretty much was a big fan of the Unicron trilogy. So those are pretty much my what I started to, and slowly but surely, my collection went up. I used to have 100 figures of Transformers. Then I discovered Diamond Select. They were making some great Marvel figures, either from the movies or from the classic series from the comics. So I had a few of those. I think they actually went bankrupt this year, at the beginning of the year, which is sad. So yeah, then backtrack to 2007 when I got my first 1/6 scale figure, which was the T1000 by Sideshow Collectibles. I actually won that figure. Was on a contest on YouTube. Actually, YouTube back in the day was very small, unlike today. Back then, people weren't making a lot of money with YouTube. It was a couple of dollars here and there. So that's how I got into 1/6 with the Sideshow T1000 from obviously Terminator 2. But I discovered Hot Toys, I believe, in 2005. I was in elementary school. I remember every morning we went to, I think it was Friday morning actually, we had like a period off where we went to the computer lab, and we were allowed to play video games on the computer, basically I guess PC games. And I used to like I used to like to go on Google and just look at these figures. I remember I was hyping about McFarlane Predators, and then I saw these. And again, I'm gonna try to find the picture. It's quite hard to find nowadays, but it was the pictures of the 3 Predators from Hot Toys from the first AVP movie. And I was like, holy shit, what are those? And I did some research. I found some videos on YouTube about them. And again, back in the day, those were about $120. I know Hot Toys started by doing unlicensed figures on military and firemen and whatnot, and there's even like a George Lucas figure and a Tom Cruise figure. So obviously they got their license, I believe, in about 2004, 2005, and obviously Hot Toys figure back then, they were pretty much, you had to assemble them because they didn't have the license to call them action figures, so they're pretty much like model kits. So obviously I wanted to get those, but again, as a kid growing up, $150 for a figure was insane for me. I wasn't able to afford that. And then we backtracked to 2009, where I was starting to save my money up. Again, I was in high school. Then I went to this comic book store, which actually one of my good friends, which is still around today, showed me this comic book store. And I saw the first I guess Hot Toys that I bought, which was the Grid Alien Back then it was about 160 Canadian dollars, which was not far from retail. Actually, I think it was the brown version. Yeah, I bought the brown version, which was more exclusive, very rare. And then I brought the figure back to the store because he had some issues with the rubber. And then I got the grid as an exchange. So that was my first Hot Toys, and you know, obviously I knew about Hot Toys since 2005, but I saw like the upwards trajectory when they went, you know, from model kits to like, you know, action figures, and I saw like, the quality. But then, you know, sometimes there's drops. I don't like for instance the choice in the materials. You know, like the Spider-Man is very cheap and that cracks over time if you know, articulate it. I like what they're doing nowadays, you know, using like real materials like leather, for instance, on the new T800 figure. So again, so I bought that first Alien back in 2009. I was blown away. I think it was very realistic. The rubber, I think that figure today still stands out. The rubber is not too bad, but on some of their older aliens, like the big chap, obviously some of the shine goes away, the rubber cracks and whatnot. So again, that's how I first introduced to Hot Toys. I was continually watching reviews, obviously, and following them on Facebook to see like their new releases. So I had that figure for a while. Again, I was still collecting like 1/6 scale figures from Sideshow, because back then they were about 50 to 60 bucks, which were really cheap. So I had like my horror line from Sideshow back then. And again, I was still collecting NECA Transformers. So then backtrack to 2011, where I got, was it 2011 or 2010? I got my second Hot Toys figure, which was the T600 from Terminator Salvation. That was excellent. I remember it was my first purchase from Big Bad Toy Store. I got that. It was on sale. It was like 90 bucks, which was very cheap, you know, in comparison of today. I don't even think you can buy a Hot Toys figure for under $100 today. But again, maybe I'm wrong. So that was my second Hot Toys. Then I got some figures from the Dark Knight. I got the Bank Robber Joker, the first one, and then the Dark Knight himself, which I remember back then. That figure was pretty cool, but again, the whole suit was like rubberized, unlike the ones today where, like, for instance, this one, it's like the 2.0 core scale. You had like a suit underneath, and then you have the rubber material on top, and you have like a plastic, you know, chest piece. Back then, that figure was like whole, pretty much rubberized. Again, he had some hard materials, but yeah, and pretty much went from there. So in 2011, I got the Predator figures from the Predator movie, the third one back then. Obviously the Berserker, Falconer, and Tracker. And I was blown away by those figures. So I pretty much started to build, you know, a Predator collection from Hot Toys, hence my name, PredFan93. So it went from there. Then I got the Shadow Predator, which was an exclusive from Predator 2. Obviously I don't have those figures anymore. That's one of the things with Hot Toys is, you know, some people may ask, well, if you started collecting in 2009, why isn't your Hot Toys collection bigger? Which is a good point, guys. The issue is obviously space, funds. I like to keep my collection rotating, meaning I like to get new things. And the thing is with Hot Toys, we're always getting like 2.0s of characters, you know, reissues, re-releases. So yes, I could have kept those some of the figures from back in the day. Some of them didn't age well. So I think now we live in a perfect time where you have re-releases of the characters which are made with better materials than before. So there's less flaking and stuff. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I don't have a lot more Hot Toys than I do, because I like to keep things fresh. Obviously now I got into statues. I have those two. I have the Prime one, and I also got another one which is on my right on my reviewing table. So again, I'm not gonna do statues 100%. It's just, you know, I guess fun to have a couple of these because they are massive. Again, make sure to watch his review. I went into details, but I'm gonna do a comparison between Prime 1 and Hot Toys. I'm gonna discuss some, like, you know, what I like, what I don't like. So yeah, that's how I pretty much got into collecting Hot Toys. again, if I would keep those today, I would have, you know, hundreds of figures, and the value of my collection would have been close to $100,000. Because yeah, collecting these since 2009, I'm not gonna shit you guys, I'm gonna be 100% real. It's very expensive. I know with the economy that we live in, you know, nowadays in 2025, a lot of people cannot afford food, much less action figures. So, you know, I'm very, I guess, lucky, and I have to be humble about this because, you know, I'm aware of what happens around the world, especially what happened last week in the United States with all the shootings. But again, this is not a political channel. You know, we live in difficult times. So again, buying these actually brings joy. And, you know, it's almost to escape some of the things in real life. So yeah, that's how I got into collecting Hot Toys. And again, I still love Hot Toys as a company. I know we have Inarts, you know, that they kind of catch up with Hot Toys slowly but surely. I don't think that they're gonna dethrone Hot Toys, although I do think their figures are more, I guess, higher quality than Hot Toys, mostly because of the materials. They pay attention to smaller details that Hot Toys may not, and that's also because Hot Toys got so big over the years. And it's not because they don't really care about like the quality of their figures anymore, like they used to back in a, I guess, golden era of Hot Toys, which a lot of people think it was about, you know, in 2010. So this guy is a good example. This is an older figure from Hot Toys. It's from the first Avatar movie, and this thing I think is superior to like his predecessor from the Way of Water. I think he's more detailed than the newer Jack Sully. The only difference, his eyes don't move, and I still think he has like a stupid expression on his face. It's almost like he's shocked or something. So yeah, you know, in some cases, some of the older Hot Toys figures are better. In some cases nowadays, like with the 2.0s and the 3.0s, the materials are a lot better. For instance, this one, when Blitzer is gonna come with their version of the DeLorean, it's gonna be more detailed. It's gonna be in more scale. This is one of the things with Hot Toys with their 1-scale vehicles, for example. The scale is not quite there. It's a little bit under scale. For instance, this one, again, make sure to watch the review. There was someone is saying that I should not compare Blitzway to Hot Toys, and I pretty much pointed out to them and said, you know, the issues with Hot Toys is with their 1-scale vehicles, they are not in scale 100%. For instance, this one is so big, and a lot of people said, oh, it's overscaled. No, it's not overscaled, it's the perfect scale. I can put figures inside and they're gonna fit perfectly, whereas, let's say, the Tumbler or the DeLorean here, you know, putting figures inside is more difficult, especially putting a Marty McFly in there. It's gonna hit his head, the top. So this one, the inside is too small. This one is very good to put action figures inside, putting a Batman, but you know, it's still underscaled. It's probably by 3 inches, but again, I'm just rambling here. So again, I still love Hot Toys. To this day, it's still my favorite 1-scale company, but I just like to be, you know, to vary my collection, because, you know, before I used to be a lot more into Marvel and DC, but I like to keep my, you know, collection. Again, I like horror, I like DC, I still love Marvel, but I prefer to buy figures that are more quality. You know, I prefer to buy 1 excellent figure than to buy 5 that are mediocre. So for instance, this Core Scale Mark IV from Iron Man 2, you know, blew me away. The engineering with those arms, you know, it's fantastic. Again, I used to have the Mark 42 from Iron Man 3, but I sold that because, again, I don't need 2 Iron Man figures in Core Scale. So yeah, that's just my take on Hot Toys. I may do some separate videos about what I don't like and what I like about Hot Toys, because again, it all comes down to the materials. Obviously the prices are going up. That's pretty much the cost of life. Everything is more expensive to make. But that doesn't mean you have to give us like a shitty, you know, action figure. When you have companies like Inart that are giving us like excellent figures for like maybe $100 more, $150 more than Hot Toys, but They have excellent boxes, excellent accessories. Again, they're very simplistic with their stands. They all pretty much have this similar base with magnetic things underneath to hold the figure up. So yeah, let me know guys in the comments below what was your first Hot Toys figures. Mine again was the brown alien from AVP. That was an exclusive variant, and then I got the grid. So yeah, it was a fun, I guess, nostalgic fact to talk to you guys about that, because yeah, I've been, you know, Hot Toys was pretty much in my collection since back in the day, and it was fun to talk to you guys about this. Brings me a lot of good memories, and so far I was pretty lucky with Hot Toys. I mean, not getting a lot of them that were damaged, or even like throughout the years I didn't have the figure that was disintegrating in front of my eyes. Like, I know if you're living in like Asian countries, because of the humidity and everything, a lot of the figures from Hot Toys that has rubber, like this Venom here, would disintegrate. So I was pretty lucky with the, you know, in the area that I live, there's not a whole lot of humidity. You know, for instance here, I always have my air conditioning on, you know, to remove all the humidity and, you know, temperatures from the room. So yeah, again, let me know in the comments below guys, what do you think about Hot Toys in general? What do you think about the hobby? Is it too expensive nowadays to buy figures? Actually, that might be another topic to talk to you guys about in the next video. So as usual guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe, give me a big like, let me know in the comments below, and as usual guys, stay safe and talk to you soon in the next video. Take care, bye bye.